The chamber was silent for a moment, and then came the echo of Maxine Waters' sharp voice cutting through the air like a blade. Cameras zoomed in, microphones adjusted, and the audience leaned forward. It wasn't just another heated debate on Capitol Hill. It was a clash between two political worlds, two women who saw the nation through very different eyes. And what was supposed to be a moment of humiliation would soon become one of the most unforgettable exchanges in modern American politics. Tulsi Gabbard sat poised at the witness table, her expression calm, almost serene. She was used to confrontation. She'd faced war zones, political storms, and media battles. But today, the tension was different. Maxine Waters, fiery and unrestrained, had her sights locked on Tulsi like a hawk circling its prey. The topic was foreign policy and military integrity, issues Tulsi had lived, not just studied. "Miss Gabbard," Waters began, her tone dripping with disdain, "you talk about peace and diplomacy, but you're a critic. Your visits to controversial leaders to suggest otherwise. How can the American people trust someone who can't even decide which side she's on?" A murmur rippled through the room. Some smirked, others watched Tulsi's reaction carefully. Tulsi didn't flinch. She folded her hands and waited until the laughter died down. Her brown eyes, steady and kind, met Waters'. "Congresswoman," she said softly, "when I was in uniform serving overseas, I didn't ask the men and women beside me whether they were Democrats or Republicans. We just wanted to come home alive." The air shifted. The audience straightened. Waters smirked, but her confidence faltered slightly. "Don't dodge the question, Miss Gabbard," she shot back. "This isn't about war stories. It's about loyalty and judgment." Tulsi's voice deepened, calm but firm. "It's exactly about loyalty and judgment. Loyalty to the truth, judgment about when to speak it." Waters leaned in, ready to interrupt again, but Tulsi continued, her voice steady and rising with conviction. "When I meet with world leaders, I didn't go to praise FEMA. I went to prevent more American soldiers from dying. I went because diplomacy is hard, but war is hell. And those who've never seen it sometimes forget what it costs." A hush swept through the room. The soldiers in the audience, those who had come to watch quietly from the back rows, nodded in silent agreement. Waters tried to interject, but Tulsi's tone had changed. She wasn't defending herself anymore. She was speaking for something far greater. "You see, Congresswoman," she said, "you can disagree with me, you can question my choices, but don't question my love for this country. I've walked through villages bombed to rubble. I've carried brothers and sisters home in flag-draped coffins. That kind of love doesn't need applause, it just needs to be true." The silence was deafening. Even the cameras, usually buzzing with clicks, seemed to hold their breath. For the first time that day, Maxine Waters had no words. Her fiery demeanor cooled, her expression unreadable. Tulsi had turned what was meant to be a political ambush into a moment of humanity and truth. Later that evening, clips of the exchange spread across the internet like wildfire. Some commentators called it the masterclass in grace under fire. Others said Tulsi had delivered the calmest takedown in congressional history. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, something deeper lingered in people's hearts. Because Tulsi didn't win the moment by shouting louder, she won it by standing taller. Days later, in a quiet interview, a reporter asked her how she managed to stay so composed under pressure. Tulsi smiled faintly and said, "You don't let someone's anger pull you away from your purpose. If you stay rooted in truth, they can't shake you, only expose themselves." That answer went viral, not because it was clever but because it was real. In a time when politics seemed dominated by shouting matches and insults, Tulsi had reminded America of something precious: strength isn't in humiliation, it's in humility. Months passed, and the moment became a story many young Americans studied as a symbol of courage in the face of aggression. Even Maxine Waters, in a later interview, admitted she handled herself well, maybe too well. But Tulsi didn't gloat. She moved forward, continuing her work for veterans, her advocacy for peace, her voice calm and steady as ever. And that's what left Maxine Waters and the nation speechless. Because in a world where so many fight to be heard, Tulsi Gabbard showed what happens when someone fights instead to understand. The real victory wasn't in the debate, it was in reminding everyone watching that true power doesn't come from tearing others down. It comes from standing unshaken, rooted in conviction, and letting truth speak louder than ego. And as the sun set on that day, Tulsi walked out of the Capitol steps quietly, the wind tugging at her hair, the world buzzing with headlines behind her, but she didn't look back. She didn't need to. She had said what she came to say. With calm courage, she had turned humiliation into an aura and left the nation reminded that integrity, once spoken from the heart, can silence even the loudest storm.